The wait is nearly over. The hour is drawing nigh. This is Choice 2013. I am Yvonne Okwara. Good evening. Now, in just over 9 hours, a maximum of 14.3 million Kenyans will be streaming to polling stations across the nation to make an historic verdict that will yield the country's fourth president. For the first time since independence, the country will be holding a general election under a completely new constitution drawn by you, the Kenyan people. And on this election eve, KTN is all set in people and equipment to cover the election in a way that only we can. In a short while, we will be crossing live to each of our multiple locations across the country, from where we shall be covering for you this significant vote. But first, to our Super Wall, where Eric Njoka has a preview of some of the numbers that we should be taking a look at tonight. Eric?
Thank you very much, Yvonne, and good evening, viewers. Yes, indeed, I have the facts and the figures and the imaginable number that you need to know about what has been touted as the most expensive general election, not only in Kenya, but also in the world. This will be my Super Wall for tonight, and this will be my playboard where all the numbers and all the figures will be highlighted here as I explain to you what this means to the IEBC. But first, let me take you to the upper side of the election center, where Linda Ogutu has a guest there to discuss on the state of preparedness ahead of the election. Are you prepared?
Sorry?
Are you prepared?
Very. All right, so I'm speaking to Peter Alingo, an election observer. He's helping us understand what we can expect tomorrow. Just a few hours to the general election, and we're asking ourselves, what can Kenyans really expect tomorrow? What are they looking out for, even as Kenyans go out to cast their votes? And what sort of recommendations would they give, and what do they look forward to tomorrow, even as we head towards that general election, the one that has been described as the biggest ever in Kenya's history? And of course, Kenyans will be voting in 6 different candidates. That will be very interesting to listen to. But for now, I'll hand you over to Yvonne Okwara for the top stories. Yvonne?
Thank you very much, Linda. And we do have the top stories for you. But first, we also have something interesting where we are allowing you to have your say on this election. And Joy Dorinvira is there at our Google Plus Hangout. Joy?
Yvonne, tonight we are going to be speaking to some gentlemen from Uganda, as well as from the IEBC Tallying Center. They're going to be telling us what's going on there and what we should expect tomorrow, and of course what time the results shall be announced. All of that we'll be having on the Google Plus account. And also we will be speaking to Daudi Ocheng from Uganda on how badly Uganda was affected during the post-election violence and what Ugandans expect this time round. But remember, you can take part in recording your message, take part in this entire election process, and all you have to do is log on to our website www.choice2013.co.ke/your voice. Record a 30-second message that you can pass on to the millions of Kenyans and of course millions of people from across the world who are watching Choice 2013. But we have some of the clips that have already made their way to our website, and take a look at this.
Ronald Ndenyo here, Kenyan living and working in Uganda. I'm so happy that you're going to vote our next president of this beautiful country. And my advice to all Kenyans is that regardless of the result, let us unite as one nation. Kenya is bigger than any one individual. So I'm praying and I'm believing that we are going to have a peaceful election. And my love goes to all you. Let's look ahead and grow this nation.
Monday, please vote. Kuvote. You need to vote Monday, please. Then you commentate peace.
Hello, fellow Kenyans. My name is Joel, and I'm calling from the United States. And having been following closely the Kenyan election platform, one thing that you keep on hearing from Kenyans and from the politicians is the message of peace. And this is the time for you to act. Go out and vote and make wise choices. Thank you. God bless Kenya.
Mimi kwa jina ninaitwa Anwar na ninawatakia Wakenya wote uchaguzi uliofanaka, na ningependelea sana tuweke amani. Amani ndio itatujengea Kenya yetu na itatufanya sisi tuwe watu wa kisawasawa. ulimwengu mzima unatuangalia. Please, kwa wote ambao wafanye uchaguzi asubuhi na wakimaliza waende majumbani, wangojee results za walioshinda na walioshindwa. Na kwa wale walioshindwa wasifanye fujo, bali sote ni wa Kenya na tuwe pamoja. Asanteni.
And well, we are doing this in a way nobody else will and nobody else can. Right here in Choice 2013, all you have to do is log on to www.choice2013.co.ke/your voice, and you'll be able to record this message. It could be a message of peace and a message to pass out to Kenyans to go out there and cast their votes. Like you can see, we're all set. I've got my guests here and they're all ready to tell us exactly what we should expect from the different spots that they're at. So do stay tuned to KTN.
Indeed, Joy, thank you very much for that. Your chance to have your say on these elections and this election that is taking place right here in the country. Now, I would like to introduce you to our super duper touchscreen, and John Alanamu is right there with you. We are covering this election in a way only we can, right from you having your say to now our touchscreen, and that is our super touchscreen. John Alanamu is here now with that big reveal. John?
Well, many thanks, Yvonne. And yes, here at the Election Center on KTN, we've predominantly focused on the issues that matter to you in this election. But with our analysis coming tomorrow, March the 4th, that very important day, we're going one step further. This is Kenya's election map. And as you can see, if I was to tap on Marsabit constituency over there, would get that information on our touchscreen. Like we see over here, Marsabit, 291,166 people living there, and 104,408 people registered to vote in this poll tomorrow. Now, if that's a very important figure with respect to how the vote is going to be able to go tomorrow. We're going to be analyzing the past figures with respect to how people have voted in the past 4 multi-party elections. Kanu between 1992 and 2002, for instance, in Marsabit constituency. In 2007, it voted for PNU, but will that trend hold? Will that be the same tomorrow? Will that remain across the country as well? Like I said, we're going to be looking at the figures of the past to see whether they provide prologue for what's going to happen after voting stops in Kenya across the country at that historic poll starting tomorrow at 6 a.m. Of course, these colors that you see on our electoral map are purely coincidental. At this point, they do not represent any political party, but after votes close and the vote tally starts to come in, that's about to change. For instance, in Turkana County, if the votes were starting to come in, and for instance, if the National Alliance or Jubilee were to take that constituency, but county rather, this would start to turn red. So that kind of analysis is the sort that you should expect here at KTN. Starting 6 a.m. we'll be here bright and bushy-tailed all the way until that result is announced for people across the country. But it's back to you for now, Yvonne.
Thank you very much, John. We will be taking a look at those figures with you again in just a moment. But what headlines will you be waking up to tomorrow, the 4th of March? Well, Linda Ogutu has the details.
Yvonne, okay, we've told you that we are covering this in a way that only we can on Choice 2013, in a way that has never been done before in Kenyan history. That's why I'm going to see if I can get you a copy of tomorrow's paper, The Standard, and then you can have a look at the top stories just a few hours to the general election. And of course, we'll let you know what the top story is. Here we go. Let peace prevail. This is the top story on The Standard. Let peace prevail. Just a few hours to the general election. This has been a call that has been rallied all over the country, and of course the diaspora as well. Nobody wants to see a repeat of what happened in 2007. Let peace prevail. D-Day as Kenyans vote in biggest election ever. And of course, even as everyone asks that peace prevail, the integral bit about all this is the integrity of the vote. How free, fair, credible will it be? That is a discussion that I'll be having in just a few minutes. But for now, I take you back to Yvonne. for the top
Thank
stories.
you very much, Linda, and for revealing the headline that we will be waking up to on this historic day, March the 4th, that is tomorrow, and more discussions on what to look forward to in your standard newspaper with Linda Ogutu a little later on. But right now, these are the top stories tonight. Down to hours, date with destiny beckons. And help from above, candidates seek divine intervention.
Why should they wanatega kwa nini? Kwani sisi sio wa Kenya?
It's hard to be used to fight against one another. That would be very, very, very unfortunate.
Diaspora voice, hopes and fears abroad.
The country is facing a big challenge on how to manage the huge wage bill that is truly unsustainable.
And it's a pay cut, state officers' new salary structure. Now, in the final press briefing before tomorrow's election, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission reiterated their confidence that the election will be conducted without undue hitches to allow for official results to be announced within 48 hours. And as the IEBC and the police gave assurances of elaborate security measures in and around polling and tallying centres, the police warned of a plot by criminal elements in Mathare, Kibera and Kisumu to disrupt the exercise.
The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission says they have taken all measures to ensure the voting and tallying takes place in every corner of Kenya within the legally stipulated times.
We are required to announce the results within 7 days of the polling. The Commission, however, has no intention of delaying the results, and within 48 hours will be able to see clear leads through the provisional results transmission, which will come through the mobile system and which will be relayed in real time on our screens at the Bomas of Kenya Tallying Center. Official results will be announced once Form 35 and 34 have been received and verified at the National Tallying Center in Bomas, Nairobi.
They are saying party agents, IEBC polling officials and the public may be asked to accept contingency measures in order to avoid the election spilling into day 2.
At what point do we say that if we say you must use the poll book? During our simulation, we have seen that some of the laptops are very they were supposed to last for 16 hours with the 3 backup batteries. It's possible that some of them may develop a malfunction, and I think we have said very clearly, only in very exceptional circumstances, where it's very clear to the agents who are also in the polling station and to the voters that this thing has failed. We don't do like Ghana, where we open the following day the polling station to wait for another machine. We say under the law, we go and use the printed version of the register. Only in those exceptional circumstances where they have failed.
At the same briefing, the police said they have uncovered a new plot in Nairobi's Kibera and Mathare areas and in Kisumu to interfere with the security plans.
The Inspector General has received a very sad information this afternoon that I would like to relay, that certain persons are planning to put on police uniforms and attack people, especially in Kibera, in Mathare and in Kisumu. He is giving a very stern warning to any criminals or a group of persons who want to interrupt elections that we are not going to compromise security of any Kenyan.
The police did not, however, reveal whether any official police uniforms had been stolen to be used in such a manner or whether such uniforms had been procured elsewhere. However, there is already a team set aside to deal with the election offences.
The Commission has established a tripartite committee comprising of the Director of Public Prosecutions, the National Police Service, and the Commission, and we have developed guidelines for investigating and prosecuting election offences.
We have also partnered with the Chief Justice, the Office of the Chief Justice, that's the judiciary, and they have assured us that for election offences that we shall detect and present before court, they'll ensure that the prosecution takes place very fast. At least within 3 days, we'll be able to conclude in.
Now, Tino KTN, Nairobi.
92,000 security agents, including 7,000 top security bosses, will be patrolling the 47 counties across Kenya to ensure that tomorrow's election is peaceful. The Kenya Police Service has warned that anyone planning to disrupt the poll will be dealt with immediately. With just hours to the historic election, our reporter Asha Mwilu analyzes the security situation in the following report.
Tomorrow's general election has been termed the most monitored poll in the Kenyan history by security agents. The Kenya Police Service, that was heavily blamed for not containing the 2007 post-poll chaos, struggled to reform ahead of this historic election. The police agenda now is to be on the forefront of ensuring that the poll is peaceful.
We are going to give enough security, and including escorting the presiding officers from the tallying centers at the constituencies to the county tallying centers, and from the county tallying centers we'll also escort them to the national tallying center, that is at Bomas.
A record 99,721 officers from the Kenya Police Service, the NYS, KWS, the Kenya Forest Service and the Prisons Department have been deployed across the country to provide security during and after the poll. In Eldoret town, security has also been beefed up with uniformed men and women patrolling the city. Mombasa is being closely monitored by intelligence agencies due to the possible threats from groups such as the MRC that have been threatening to disrupt the poll. One of the regions with the highest police deployment, however, is Nairobi County. This much-anticipated election is now just a few hours away, and security agents are saying they are not leaving anything to chance. As we remember, in 2007, Nairobi's informal settlements were hotspots in the violence. And now, for this reason, police are saying that they have identified areas where they will deploy more officers. This is Mathare Slum, Huruma, Embakasi, Mukuru Kwanjega, and of course, the expansive Kibera Slum. These efforts are aimed at avoiding a repeat of such scenes that were witnessed mostly from the slums in Nairobi during the disputed 2007 poll.
Demonstrations will not be allowed during this period, and those who will participate in the so-called mass action will face the law.
Over 8,000 officers have been posted to Nairobi's slum areas and will be on patrol starting Sunday night. With a new leadership at Vigilance House, the Kenya Police is seeking to redeem itself in the eyes of Kenyans in this strategic plan of securing the poll. It is well documented that the man who headed the service in 2007, Major General Hussein Ali, was forced to defend himself at the International Criminal Court over how the police handled the violence. All eyes are now on David Kimayo, the newly appointed Inspector General, as the poll opens Monday morning. Asha Mwilu, KTN, Nairobi.
You're watching Choice 2013. Thank you so much for staying with us this far. We are speaking to Peter Alingo, an election observer. Peter, you're reading the Standard, and of course the top story, let peace prevail. This peace will prevail if the integrity of this vote is protected. Is that an assurance that you have?
Absolutely. I think this is a bold statement that we are making, as we approach tomorrow. Let peace prevail. I think that is a clarion call that we must all carry with us as Kenyans. But the most important thing is the integrity of the process itself. That is where the devil is, and we must confront that devil and talk about the integrity of the process. We want to see assurance being given that the process, right from the beginning, will be that which will be done with utmost integrity and utmost credibility. IEBC has said that. But as I said before, we must move from the rhetoric and see this in real action. That is what Kenyans want to see. That is what we as observers want to see in this process tomorrow. That this is happening And we are seeing utmost transparency, openness, and accountability in this process. But we are also worried about numbers and the time. So efficiency is also a very critical thing that we want to see tomorrow.
Peter, that's why your group will be having a parallel vote tabulation.
Absolutely. That is why my group, the election observation group, is already out there, you know, in large numbers and ready to just see how this process goes on. And then we tell Kenyans, this is what our observation and findings are going to be. How will you do that, Peter? Look, we have a number of approaches that we have put in place. We have about 600 long-term observers in all the 290 constituencies who are already looking at this process right from the beginning of the year. So we've seen this, we are with it, we are part of it. Tomorrow we will put in place another over 7,000 observers, general observers, you know, just stationed all over the country in the 290 constituencies to observe and report back to us. But on top of that, we have an elite squad of observers. We call them the parallel vote tabulation observers.
Yeah, that's what I want to hear about.
And this is a critical thing because, you know, observation, we have taken it a level higher. That is what we are saying, that we are now using technology and a proven methodology that will enable us in real time and with speed, you know, systematically assess the quality of the voting day process, you know, from opening to closing. And we can tell citizens of this country in real time about the quality of that process. But beyond that, this process will enable us, on the basis of the analysis that we'll do, to project the results, you know, and that is the critical thing, because projecting the results, we are therefore talking about safeguarding the integrity of the results itself.
Peter, thank you so much for speaking to us. I'm hoping tomorrow we can speak to you on phone and you can let us know what's going on in the field. Right? We've been speaking to Peter Lingo, an election observer. He's letting us know what we can expect tomorrow. Of course, let's wait and see how tomorrow plays out. But the clarion call, let peace prevail in the country. Let me now take you to the National Tallying Center, IEBC's National Tallying Center, where Sophia Wanuna is standing by. Sophia.
Thank you very much, Linda Ogutu. Indeed, we are at the IEBC 2013 National Election Center here at the Bomas of Kenya. This is a historic election that Kenyans are casting their ballots tomorrow as they go to the polls. Of course, 6 elective positions. It is an election that will see Kenya have a new president, also an election that will change the face of governance in this country from a central system of governance to a devolved system of governance. An election that is keenly being watched around the country. Now, very quickly, we are at the polling station at the Bomas of Kenya, as you rightfully put it, Linda. And very quickly to take through our viewers this evening, what is expected? Of course, polling stations open at 6 a.m. Official closure time is 5 p.m. What happens after that? Of course, they close and the vote count begins. And some of those present during this process is the presiding officer, party agents, polling officials, accredited election observers, also accredited media personnel. Candidates may be there as well, and of course security detail at each and every of these polling stations. The vote count takes place, and after the vote count, the party officials from, of course, the various parties that are participating in this election, as well as the presiding officers, confirm their results. After that, the presiding officer, using a mobile phone from the 33,400 polling stations around the country, then transmits the results. 3 levels they are transmitting to simultaneously: constituency tallying center, county tallying center, as well as the national tallying center. Now, where will you be hearing the announcement of the results of the 6 elective positions for the presidential race? The announcement will come from here, the National Tallying Center at the Bomas of Kenya, and it is the chairman of the IEBC, Ahmed Isaac Hassan, who will be announcing who the next president will be, if in fact a decisive winner is reached by the end of the vote count. For the governor, the senator, and the woman representative positions, those announcements will be made of who the winners in the various counties are by county returning officers at the county
Tallying Center. And finally, for the MP and county rep, those announcements by returning officer at the constituency level. I'm now joined by a man who's been critical. Of course, as I mentioned, this is an electronic voter transmission, and the IEBC has given a link whereby citizens, Mwananchi, wherever you are, you can follow the transmission of these votes, or rather the results as they come through, the provisional results through vote.iebc.or.ke. I'm now joined by Dismas Ongondi, who's Director of ICT for the IEBC. Thank you very much for joining us. Very quickly, this is not the first time we are transmitting results via online. How much enhanced has the system been so far, and is it tamper-proof? What assurances do you give to the members of the public as we go into this election?
Thank you very much. As you rightly put it, this is not the first time that we're using this kind of system to transmit electronic results. The first time this technology was embraced by the former Commission IIC was in June 2010 in the by-election of South Mugirango, with a lot of success, and subsequently Matuga, the national referendum, and indeed all the subsequent by-elections until the last one were held late last year. Now, some of the enhancements that we have put into this system, which is basically an enhancement of the previous concept, is that we have expanded the functionality of this system to include coverage for all the elective positions, the 6 that are, unlike before, because in the past we have only used this system to transmit by-election results from all the constituencies and the national referendum. In addition, we have also improved the user and reporting interfaces. The reports and the graphics that we'll be seeing are quite different from what we used to have. And finally, we have also enhanced the security and transmission control of this system to ensure that it's fit for purpose.
Is it tamper-proof? Can anybody interfere with it?
Well, that is similar to asking a question as to whether it is possible for an aircraft to be involved in an accident. All I can tell you is that we have tested this system both from a functional and a security point of view. We have applied necessary and appropriate security that makes this system safe, secure, and protects the same from possible compromise, both from external and internal sources.
Okay, possible challenges you foresee in tomorrow's election, of course, a lot of ICT in it. Possible challenges, and have you put in measures to counter that?
Well, technology can fail when it's most needed, but we have tried to mitigate that risk by making sure that we have adequate spares at constituency and the county levels. We also have trained thoroughly our people that will be using this system, but in addition to that, we have recruited people that are technical who will be providing support to the users of this system from the field. And of course, if there are issues in the field that cannot be resolved locally, then they will be escalated to the national center where we will provide extended support.
All right. I've mentioned that the presiding officers will be relaying this information via phones. Are these special phones? Is a normal phone? Will they write in the results and send a message? Or how is this working exactly?
These are normal phones, but they are specifically prepared for this purpose. They are not phones that you can use. The application that we are loading and the lines that we are giving those phones cannot be used to call, and they can only be used on the network that is transmitting these results. If you come with a different phone which is not provisioned for this service, it will not be able to access our network, and therefore it cannot transmit on this network. So there are standard phones, yes, but in terms of the data provisioning on the lines, does not allow them to be used for purposes other than those that which is intended.
All right, a huge concern. There were power blackouts last night. We were here today as well. The power supply here has not been very stable. Earlier on in the day, I saw the Kenya Power Company coming in. And of course, as you relay information, in the event that power goes off at a critical time, as you know, people are watching and observing these results. Not good. What backup plans? Because even the generator which was there backing up yesterday was not very reliable. Have you enhanced the backup systems now?
Well, first we have talked to Kenya Power and Lighting countrywide to provide uninterrupted power supply during this election period. We have those assurances. They have placed their teams out there to make sure that that happens. In addition, each of our tallying centers, both at the county and constituency level, have got at least 2 generators to provide backup power. The sensitive equipment that receives and presents these results in those tallying centers is supported by a UPS, which is an interruptible power supply system. At the National Election Center,
National Tallying Center at Bomas of Kenya, with Sophia Wanuna there, speaking about the preparedness for tomorrow's election. We want to take a short break right now, but we will be right back with lots more. This is Choice 2013. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome to Choice 2013. Thank you for staying with us. This is KTN, your authoritative news channel, and we are covering the election from all angles, from multiple locations, and we are live all over the country and live as well in Kisumu with Rita Tinina and in Eldoret with Mercy Kandie. So I'd like to bring them in now to talk about what is taking place in the various areas around the country, especially where they are located. Let's start off with you, Mercy, in Eldoret. All is well, all is set with the IEBC and with the electorate as well?
Yes, Yvonne. In fact, the mood here is calm. Residents are just anticipating as the March 4th is literally just around the corner, just hours away. So today in the morning we did a spot check with various polling stations, and we were at the Central Primary School, which is one of the polling stations for one of the 6 counties here in Uasin Gishu County, that is Moiben constituency. We spoke to the returning officer who tells us that they are all set, that everything is ready. And also faithfuls, today being a Sunday, the main message in almost all the churches here in Eldoret town is that of peace and them being told to abide by the IEBC rules. Yvonne, this is a story we filed for now you, the audience at home. Take a look.
All right, and before that story, we'll come back to you, Mercy, in Eldoret. We're keen to see that story that you have been working on in the course of the day. But let's move over to Rita Tinina in Kisumu. After everything that happened with the political party primaries and the chaos that took place, we believe that all will be well tomorrow.
Well, Yvonne, we are hoping that all will be well tomorrow. Of course, we've been speaking to a few residents here and there since yesterday. We were at the Dunga Beach. We engaged a few fishermen. They're giving us the assurance that this time they are ready to keep peace. Earlier on, I promised you that interview about peace, and we'll be talking about peace right here, but that's later on, Yvonne.
All right, let's move now back to Mercy Kandie, who's in Eldoret. Mercy, do tell us what is happening in the town of Eldoret.
So this is a story that we filed for you earlier on in the day. What residents are saying is that they are eagerly waiting for the day tomorrow that has, Eldoret town has been the recipient of many political parties. Tomorrow being the day that Eldoret residents and also residents from other counties will get to make their choice. So this is a story I filed for you earlier on in the day. Take a look. Eldoret town, Sunday morning, and residents, especially church faithfuls, wake up to peace messages and not the usual political campaign messages. Music and prayer for peaceful election. Bishop Cornelius Korir of the Eldoret Catholic Diocese calling out on residents to be peaceful come Monday, March 4th.
Yule hakupata aheshimu yule amepata wa viongozi wetu, kwa sababu kukataa inaleta shida.
At various polling stations in Uasin Gishu County, returning and polling officers assembled for the final briefing, security being beefed up and also available to escort the election material.
Now the only challenge we are foreseeing is the time it is going to take during the counting of ballots after close of polling at 5. And I'm saying this because we had an experience. Sunday last week, we did a mock election. So counting 200 ballot papers took not less than 4 hours. So we are sure it is going to take a little longer than the 4 hours.
The much-awaited date being tomorrow, Monday, IEBC officials here confirm that it is all systems go, with polling stations set to open as early as 6 in the morning, targeting 4 voters at a go. Eldoret and its environs ready to make the choice tomorrow. Mercy Kandie, KTN, Choice 2013, Eldoret, Uasin Gishu County.
Well, thank you very much, Masi Kandie in Eldred. Now, earlier on in the bulletin, Linda Ogutu revealed that hot off the press copy of the Standard on Monday, the headline, of course, "Let Peace Prevail." And here in Kisumu, we are talking about peace. That interview I promised you about. I'm now joined by Audi Ogada. He is a man who wears many hats. He is trained in community conflict management. He works for PeaceNet, and also he is a member of the District Peace and Security Committee. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, Kisumu County, or rather Nyanza Province, one of the areas that was worst affected by the 2007 post-election violence. How have you been engaging communities here? Have residents learnt a lesson from events of 2007?
Rightly, as you have said, that we learned our lessons as Kisumu County. Kisumu was one of the areas that witnessed a lot of destruction of property, a lot of deaths, a lot of displacement, a lot of people were displaced. And we vowed from that particular time that never again shall we go back to the situation that we were in 2007, 2008. And because of that, all the stakeholders, provincial administration, the civil society, the churches, the business community, we have teamed up. And for the last 2 years, all of us, we have been working toward peace. And I want to authoritatively say that we have seen some achievement. Actually, we have made a big achievement. We have seen a lot of presidential candidates coming to this town. They come, they get support, they talk to the people, and I think it is on record that we have succeeded in that particular area. Kisumu, of course, has been listed as among the hotspot. It's true that Kisumu has been perceived to be an hotspot, and we have done the mapping of this Kisumu, which are the areas that are more hotspot than others. And those areas are the areas that we have been working day and night. We have created bunges in those areas. Kondele being one of the key hotspots, Nyalenda is another one, CBD, which covers Bus Park, among other areas, Otonglo. And so for the last 2 years, and especially for the last 1 month, we have been doing a lot of serious awareness creation. We have been engaging youths in almost all these areas.
During the nomination, just 2 months ago,
yes,
we saw some incidents that were not quite pleasant.
It is on record.
What assurance do you have that?
It is on record that there was some protest, but go back to the records, there was no massive destruction compared to 2007, 2008. And to me, protest that was there was just as a result of misunderstanding, and the way the nomination went, I believe that nobody was satisfied. And if it were not for the work that we have done, I think Kisumu would have witnessed a lot of violence at that particular time.
What are the indications you're getting from residents here? Perhaps the youth, who are the majority, who are being looked up to this time to ensure that peace prevails. What are they saying?
I think you have been in Kisumu since morning, or maybe since yesterday. I believe you have felt that Kisumu really is upbeat. Kisumu is ready to go for elections. Kisumu are ready. And even before morning today, I think past midnight, you will see Kisumu people are going to blow whistles. People are going to use bombeleza, I don't know how it is called, so that to awake people who cannot actually wake up in early morning to go and vote.
Yesterday, I spoke to one gentleman who said that residents here have now matured politically. Is that the case?
That is authoritatively the case. I have said that IBC, provincial administration, police, the churches, all these stakeholders have done tremendous work in this city. And I want to assure our viewers that this will come to pass, that they are going to see a big turnout in terms of voting. They are going to see a lot of peace in tomorrow's elections.
Well, thank you very much. We have been speaking to Udi Ogada, a peace campaigner here in Kisumu, and he's making that assurance that come tomorrow and thereafter, peace will prevail, not just in Kisumu, but the larger central Kenya region. That's all for us from now. I will hand things over to Betty Chalo in Mombasa. Betty, what do you have in store for us?
Many thanks, Rita Tinena. Indeed, we've pitched camp in Mombasa's central business district, I beg your pardon. And here it's a calm mood because bars and restaurants were closed at 10 p.m. That was, of course, by order from the County Commissioner Nelson Marwa. All the bars and restaurants, all entertainment spots generally have been closed down, and so the streets are quite empty. People probably went home early so that they could wake up tomorrow. They can wake up tomorrow morning to go to the polling stations. And to give you a look of and even a feel of what exactly happened today in Mombasa, Ferdinand Omondi filed a story that will give you a feel of what took place in different parts of Mombasa County.
Election material at the Chandaria Hall, the tallying center from Vita constituency in Mombasa County, awaiting distribution to polling stations earlier today. The IEBC South Coast coordinator confirmed that they had received everything they needed and are good to go.
Ilikuwa bado ballot paper peke yake, na sasa hivi tunavyozungumza ballot paper pia zishaingia na tusha distribute. Zote ziko kwa ballot boxes zao.
Security measures have been stepped up in areas considered hotspots. Lately, leaflets spotted in Kisauni targeting a community had created tension, which forced security operatives to install special units in Kisauni, Likoni, Jomvu, Mishomoroni, among others.
Likoni, tunaenda kuweka special unit. Kisauni tunakuwa na GSU mpaka kule Utange, Mwakirungi, Bamburi, Mishomoroni, Chunda, Kongwea.
Hivi tunavyozungumza pia tumeweka patrol cars ambazo zatembea kwa area region yote hii.
The biggest threat hanging in the area has been that of the Mombasa Republican Council, who have remained eerily quiet ahead of the polls. MRC have previously declared its intention to discourage voting in the area, but IEBC is positive there is no storm after the calm.
Kunao ambao ni member wa MRC na bado ni aspirants.
On this day, many church services center their sermons on the Monday polls, with a key message spread by men of the cloth being that of peace.
Kuwe na uvumilivu wa kisiasa na kuheshimiana miongoni mwa wananchi wote.
The Coast region defied fears of voter apathy by registering 80% of the IEBC target. Thousands are expected to throng the polling stations as early as 5 a.m., 1 hour to the official start of voting. While IEBC expects a high voter turnout, the electorate has been asked to play its part in ensuring a successful day by voting and resisting the urge to hang around the polling stations after.
Vifaa kama ma-TV, kama ma-radio, yote yameamua kutusaidia kutangaza majibu yetu.
Thank you very much, Ferdinand Omondi, and that is the situation here in Mombasa. And to continue that conversation, I'm now joined by Amina Sood, who's the Regional Director for IEBC in South Coast. Thank you so much for joining us. All right. On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you that tomorrow's process will be smooth sailing?
9.999.
That means 10. Why do you say so?
Because we have everything in place. All my officers are already on the ground, and they have reported that they already reached. So, and before they leave, they normally have to carry everything. So we are hoping that everything will go as today.
Up until now, is there any challenge that your office has faced in terms of distributing the ballot papers and ballot boxes?
It was at first because some of the things that had not reached, but we are lucky that we received everything by yesterday night, and today we distributed all of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So something else that is, of course, very important in this region is security. We've seen, of course, a big number of police officers being deployed to the different regions, especially those which are listed as hotspots. Earlier on, you talked about special squads in Likoni, Lunga Lunga, and Kisauni. Who are the special squads and what exactly will they be doing on the ground?
They are special squads because these ones are trained to curb such forces of demonstrations and what have you. So we have deployed them in those areas, and especially Likoni. Likoni has been very tough for me even during registration, but we are lucky we did register, and we are hoping even now that will not be a challenge for us. The good thing is we have known we had such kind of problem.
Okay, let's talk about the public. Are there any do's and don'ts for tomorrow?
Yeah, there are a lot of do's and don'ts. The do's are please come with your identification that you used during registration, which is the original ID or a valid passport.
Okay.
And when you come, please don't come with any aspirant's t-shirt or any identification of any aspirant or party. And when you come, please come with what you come to do. If it's voting, just come and vote. And after voting, would rather disperse you and go to where you are supposed to have gone. If it's business, go and do your business.
Okay. Earlier on, or even in the past few weeks, IEBC and of course security officials have said that people should not congregate together after voting, or gather in small groups. How will you ensure that these groups do not come about after people go to the ballot?
Yeah, we have talked to people, and I'm sure they will understand. They don't have to use the stick. But if need be, we have patrol squads that are going around, and they've started from today.
Okay.
So from today, we've been having patrol squads all over the whole region. So we are hoping even tomorrow we'll have them. We won't have these kind of groups around.
Amina, all the best tomorrow. We hope we'll be speaking tomorrow evening with, of course, positive news. Thank you so much.
Inshallah.
We have been speaking to Amina Sood, who's the regional director for the South Coast region. And of course, she is very confident that tomorrow's process will be smooth sailing. And that's it from this side of Kenya, Mombasa County. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Betty Callow. We now take you to a short commercial break.
Choice 2013 on KTN, your bold and authoritative channel. And of course, we bring you all the latest updates in the way that only we can. And in a very short while, we're going to be speaking to quite a number of guests we have on our Google Plus Hangout. But before we can go there, majority of Kenyans in the diaspora will not be casting their vote tomorrow, but the events in Kenya are being closely monitored abroad, from Europe to the United States. Our UK correspondent Atieno Otieno sampled the expectations of Kenyans abroad and filed the following report.
As we come close to curtain call and amidst reports in the international press of fears of violence breaking out, Kenyans living in the United Kingdom added their voice to the persistent call for peace during and after tomorrow's elections.
If elections had to be used to fight against one another, that would be very, very, very unfortunate.
Hatutaki vita kabisa. Watu wafanye elections zao sawa. Bas.
Indeed, your presence here today clearly demonstrates your great love for Kenya.
At a meeting with the Kenyan Society, the High Commissioner to the United Kingdom, His Excellency Ephraim Gary, gave a reassurance that the government had put mechanisms in place to conduct the polls peacefully and successfully.
This will be the first general election under the new constitution, which we did adopt on the 27th of August 2010. I emphasize the word 11th because since the attainment of our independence, Kenya is one among very few countries that have never missed any general election every 5 years.
And as a Greek name diaspora was used for Jews living outside Palestine from the 16th century after the Babylonian exile, Kenyans living in the United Kingdom expressed disappointment at being left out of the country's leadership and decision-making process.
Sisi kama watu wa diaspora tumeshindwa ni nini sababu why should they wanatutega kwa nini? Kwani sisi sio wa Kenya? We are also Kenyans.
We also want them to consider us and, give us a time and a chance where we will be represented even in Parliament. We have done a lot of prayers all over UK. All the times we have been praying for Kenya.
That's home for us, and we'll be watching from wherever we'll be in the UK, and hopefully all will be well.
Well, we cannot ignore the efforts that have been put in place both internationally and back home to campaign for and advocate for peace during tomorrow's elections. And I'm standing right outside Thatched House, one of the places that Kenyans frequent here in East London to just have a good time. And this is the place where they will meet in tents to monitor and keep a tab of the election results as they stream in. My name is Atieno Otieno. Keep watching KTN News for more from the United Kingdom.
Well, there we go, the expectations of Kenyans living in the United Kingdom. And now joining us on our Google Hangout this very evening, we have Lawrence Njogu, who is an IT specialist based in Washington, D.C., and he's lived there for the last decade. We also have Daudi Ocheng, who is the head of communications and social marketing, Uganda Health Marketing Group, that is UHMG. We also have Sam Owino, who is, talking to us from Bomas. That is the Bomas of Kenya. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us on our Google Hangout this evening. I'll start with Lawrence Njogu, an IT specialist based in the United Kingdom. How do you feel about the fact that you weren't able to register as a voter or even take part in the electoral process this 2013? Lawrence.
Thank you, Joy. It was a bit disappointing. And especially after the IEBC spent a tremendous amount of time doing voter awareness and setting expectations that the diaspora was going to vote during this year's elections. And then just a few weeks before the elections, it was announced that the diaspora, and especially outside the East African borders, will not be able to participate in elections. So I wish that the IEBC had, set expectations early on. I'm sure there was a logistics issue that they were evaluating since it was determined that all citizens would be able to vote. And if it was announced maybe in advance, we could have made arrangements to come over to register and then also to come and vote.
Great. So, what are your expectations this time round in regard to the elections of which Kenyans are going to be casting their vote tomorrow?
First, I hope that it's going to be a peaceful election. And then I know this is a major transition for Kenya, and especially moving to a county government. I hope that there will be a smooth transition and that everybody will be able to step up and start, working together as a team. But going back to my original comment regarding peace, I think as a citizen, and I'm actually very keen and hope that this is actually going to be a peaceful election. And the rest of the world also is watching, and we pray that there will be peace during this time.
Well, Lawrence, I'll now move to Daudi Ocheng, who is in Uganda. He is the head of communication and social marketing, UHMG in Uganda. Daudi, if you care to tell us, how badly was Uganda affected by the post-election violence in 2008, knowing that Uganda is a landlocked country?
Oh, well, we suffered a lot in terms of pricing. We get all our fuel through Nairobi and Mombasa. So we saw all our prices go up, from transport to food, and everything we were in chaos. One, we had not prepared for it. And, it just threw the whole economy into panic.
Right, and with Uganda, what are your expectations? All the East Africans are expecting quite a lot. Like you just mentioned, Kenya is used as a transit route for most of the goods going out to all of these landlocked countries, Uganda inclusive, Rwanda as well as Burundi. So what are your expectations this time around?
So the first thing we need to appreciate is that Kenya does a lot of our transportation. So, like any other person who was once bitten, twice you have to be shy. So everyone is stocking up on everything, especially fuel. As we speak, fuel has risen from 3,500 Uganda shillings to about 2,750. That's an increase of about 250 shillings. Not because we don't have fuel, but I think someone is trying to make a quick buck off this. Now, if all goes well, we just pray that the elections run smoothly and we are over this situation as soon as possible, because the cost of living has actually gone up, and I don't see myself getting an extra pay just because we're having elections. So we're all praying it all goes well.
Well, thank you so much, Daudi Ocheng. And now let's move on to Sam Owino, who is at the Bomas of Kenya right now. Sam, what is happening right now at the Tallying Center?
Hi, Joy. And I'd say people are polishing up on the final touches of everything. There's nothing much at the Bomas right now, because some people are moving out, especially the observers. But I can assure you, polishing of everything is being done, and it will be great.
Right. And what should we expect tomorrow? Morning all the way to the to about 5 o'clock, because we expect voting is going to start at about 7 a.m. all the way to 5 when voting will be closed. What should Kenyans expect will be happening at the Tallying Center?
Kenyans should expect the best as they go to the voting sessions. We do expect on our end that after they have finished the voting peacefully and going to every place, that they will be able to start receiving the results anytime the last voter casts his ballot.
And finally, what time shall we see the results being announced tomorrow?
I can't approximate the exact time, but any time after the last person has voted in the queue, we should be able to expect after the voting has ended, then the voting vote counting has been done, then any time from there.
So much, gentlemen, for joining us on our Google Plus Hangout this evening. We really do appreciate the time taken to do this. Daudi Ocheng in Uganda, thank you so much. Lawrence Njogu from Washington, D.C., we do appreciate. And Sam Owino, thank you so much for joining us this evening. So on tonight's Google Plus Hangout, you're watching Choice 2013. To have more of this, that is as well as tomorrow, Monday, on Election Day. For those of you joining us, well, I'll let you have more of our news from Yvonne Okwara. Yvonne, over to you.
Thank you very much, Joy, for that. Let's move on and take a look at other stories making headlines today. Now, presidential aspirants sought divine intervention from different sanctuaries as they await the verdict from the voters on who should succeed President Mwai Kibaki as Kenya's 4th president. And as the clock ticked, the African Union Observer Team announced that all the 8 presidential candidates have assured and promised that they will accept the verdict of the Kenyan voters either as winners or losers. And as Patrick Amimo reports, the chairperson of the African Union's Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma has urged Kenyan voters to turn up in large numbers tomorrow and exercise their democratic right by electing leaders of their choice.
With the official campaigns now over, presidential candidates made a date with the clergy for divine intervention. The Prime Minister and CORD Alliance presidential torch-bearer Raila Odinga attended a church service at the St. John Everlasting Gospel Church in Nairobi. Raila called on Kenyans to vote and wait for the results calmly.
We do not want any blood to be shed this time around in our country. We do not want the prophets of doom to try to cast negative aspersions. We want everybody to look at another person next to themselves, look at the person next to you and say that person is a fellow Kenyan.
Deputy Prime Minister and Jubilee Alliance's presidential flag bearer Uhuru Kenyatta was in Kirigiti in his Kiambu County backyard, also on the same mission.
And where they have reached, it is your wish, and I believe in the name of Jesus.
And the message to his supporters was one of peace. KTN crew met Deputy Prime Minister and Amani Coalition's presidential candidate Musalia Mudavadi at his Mululu home. He had just attended a prayer service at Chamakanga Friends Church in his Vihiga County backyard before returning home to relax with friends and relatives.
I see a peaceful transition. We should not have the kind of crisis we had last time. So personally, I'm convinced that it will be peaceful.
Elsewhere, the Eagle Alliance's presidential aspirant Peter Kenneth attended a prayer service at Mavuno Church in Nairobi, where he received blessings from the clergy. Kenneth called on Kenyans to shun tribalism and vote wisely.
In the same vein, I want to appeal to IEBC. Please, please, be a neutral referee.
NAK Kenya presidential candidate Martha Karua had a date with the deity at Kaminji Anglican Church in Mwea, Kirinyaga County. Karua said she will accept Kenyans' choice, adding that her main interest was to see peaceful coexistence amongst Kenyans during and after the polls. Safina presidential candidate Paul Muite was not left behind either in seeking the blessings from men of the cloth, and the peace message continued to resonate. On their part, members of the African Union Election Observer Mission said despite the tight electioneering schedule, they have managed to meet 4 presidential candidates, Raila Odinga, Uhuru Kenyatta, Peter Kenneth and Professor James Ole Kiyapi, in an effort to seek assurances and commitments from all presidential aspirants on the polls.
They have shown commitment to have these elections very peaceful elections, and they committed themselves to recognize the results which will be announced by the competent bodies.
Kenyan people should come out in their numbers and exercise their will freely and do it in a peaceful manner.
It was refreshing to see all presidential aspirants engage in prayer, seeking God's favors to be occupants of that imposing red-tiled White House on the hill. But then, the Kenyan voters hold a trump card on who becomes the country's next chief executive. Patio Kamimo, KTN Choice 2013.
Now, with the recent discovery of substantial oil deposits in Turkana, residents are determined more than ever to vote in tomorrow's general election. They say they hope for a brighter future, and that lies in the decision that they make tomorrow. Philip Keitani is in Turkana and filed this report.
As Kenyans across the country prepare to go to the ballot come tomorrow morning, Turkana residents have not been left behind and are ready, now more than any other time since Kenya attained its independence 50 years ago, in which they blamed the 3 successive governments of sidelining them over the years, only to show concerns after this county was discovered to have a substantial amount of oil deposits. The residents are now ready to elect leaders that they say will address their problems and help this county catch up with the rest of the country in terms of development. According to IEBC Turkana Central Constituency Returning Officer, all systems are ready for the election and the distribution of polling materials will have been done by the end of today.
Well, as at the moment, we are packing and in order to release the team which are going out, to release the POs to their respective polling stations. So we are finalizing our packing and releasing them right away. Some of them are taking lunch, and the ones who are going to far stations, there's some who are going to will be covering around 500 kilometers. We'd like them to leave in 5 minutes time or 10 minutes time.
He also added that all polling centers within his vast constituency will have enough security during the entire exercise. Turkana County has approximately 135,000 registered voters, and that all the required polling clerks, party agents and polling center returning officers have all been trained and sent to their respective polling centers ahead of the exercise.
We have our voter educators on the ground. We've been visiting even all the churches and the villages, and apart from that, recently we did have a simulation vote in every ward, where our voters were told what to expect and how we're going to manage our election this time round.
This constituency has a number of polling centers spread across the 8 islands in Lake Turkana, and they have hired enough boats to carry across the materials, with a chopper expected to carry other polling materials to polling centers close to the border of Kenya and Ethiopia and the troubled Baragoi Valley. Turkana County has just announced that they are ready for the forthcoming general election come tomorrow morning. Voters around here have promised to wake up early in the morning to go and exercise their democratic right. Philip Keitan reporting for KTN from Lodwar, Turkana County.
Well, that's all for tonight on Choice 2013. Indeed, thank you very much for joining us. But do remember, we do this again tomorrow, bright and early at 6 a.m., where we will be bringing you up to speed with where the polling centers are, where indeed they're opening up, and what it is that you need to do as you go out and vote. Remember, this is an historic election, and you cannot afford to not be part of it. Stand up and be counted. From me here and the entire team, it's good night. See you tomorrow.